What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Striking Kicks podcast. We were on a little bit of a hiatus. We are back. My name's Chayton Peterson, and
I'm Kenzi West.
We are the owners of Championship Bowling. Striking Kicks is powered by Championship Bowling. This is Commissioner West, a little more formal, of CB Tier. I'm the competition director of the CB Tier. So, today we're going to fire off, just give, maybe some new viewers a quick introduction of, we've got the U.S. Open. U.S. Open show is tomorrow. Big show. And then we're going to recap CB Tier season number 1 that took place in 2023. Big 2023 we had, very busy. And kind of the reason that we went on a little hiatus here is just really tough finding time. So, Kenz, give us a little introduction.
Myself?
Yeah.
So my name is Kenzi. I am new to the bowling world, kind of. So I'm kind of your perspective of the, outside of a bowler's eyes, I guess, where Chayton is our bowler and understands all things bowling. I started Bowling League last year, which we did a couple episodes on that if you guys go back and listen to those. But I have improved quite a bit. I did shoot 209 last week.
Spoiler, we haven't even released the video yet.
I know, sorry.
Spoiler already.
So that was my very first 200 game, and then this very past week I did not shoot 200 again, so not very consistent yet, but we're getting better, working on things still. But yeah, I do not have a lot of bowling knowledge, so I have lots of questions all the time.
Yep, well, it's a good perspective to have as we try to change the game. I'm Chayton Peterson. I've bowled basically all of my life since I was old. I am now a videographer, storing bowling products today, and then do a lot of heavy lifting as far as the background of CB Tier and CB. All right, well, let's fire off, I guess, with the U.S. Open. Bowling's U.S. Open. What does the U.S. Open mean to you?
To be honest, I don't really know. So from what I do know, I know they get a green jacket, right?
Yes, they do.
And is that the same thing as golf?
Golf gets a green jacket at the Masters.
Masters, okay. So I know that. I know the top 5 because I was 6 and just missed the picture.
Close.
Very close. I saw lots of videos that it's very hard. A lot of people were pretty frustrated, ripping their shirts and not too happy.
We talked a little in the car about how EJ Tackett ripped his shirt off, still made this show. So for all those fogies, you're like, yeah, get man, still bowl good, man. How you doing? Here you go. EJ Tackett made the show and ripped his shirt off.
Yep. So I know a little bit, not much. I don't know if it's notoriously a hard tournament or anything like that, but I did see at least this round it is quite tough. People were struggling.
So what when you hear U.S. Open, not just specific to bowling, but what do you think of U.S. Open?
I feel like it's probably a pretty big deal. I think in all in all sports, having that as the title of the tournament or whatever seems like it's probably. I also don't really follow golf.
I don't follow tennis either, but golf I do. When you hear Open, would you be surprised to hear that it is not?
I would be very surprised.
Yeah, you have to get an invitation. They do have a PTQ,
okay,
but it is not an open tournament, albeit the name U.S. Open, it would imply that it is open.
You might have just been starting to answer this, but is it open for, in the other sports, it's open to anybody?
It is. Yeah. Well, I don't know how tennis works, but golf, I'm assuming tennis works similarly, but golf, the Utah State has 10 qualifiers, right? Local qual. So I can go play at one of the courses and top 5 make it at it. And they pull, I think they play a state qualifier. All 5 from all play. Again, the top 3 or 5 make it from there and then play a regional one. I want to say after the regional one, you're in. Maybe one more step after that. The British Open, the Open Championship that golf refers to, works similarly just in Europe. But yeah, it is open. They have qualifiers, which blows my mind that the USBC can't figure that out with state and local associations already set up to run tournaments like this. US Open qualifier, just simply. Yes, I don't know. It's not open. It's invitee only. I guess to have the elite field, that there were squads of 36. That's crazy to me. They used 12 lanes. 12 lanes. You know how many? There's 70, I think. More than 70 at Woodland. Not Woodland. Yeah, it is Woodland. Royal Pin Woodland. Tons of lanes, used 12 of them for competition. Some of them are reserved for the show. Some of them were reserved for the locker room. And they still only used about a half, maybe even less, of the available lanes to bowl on.
Is that because there weren't enough people that they invited came, or they didn't invite very many?
Yeah, well, I think the field was sold out. Anyway, enough of the there are some things that happen at the US Open that you don't see every day. Other than it just not being open. We'll gloss over or just go over really quick. There was an arrest made at the US Open. Brandon Novak was the person arrested. Not good allegations, especially in a sport where there are youth bowling. Not a good deal. I don't know all the details on that and what happened, but it was second game and the 7th frame. Had a spare left and came back. The U.S. Marshals were down. This is our sources have told us. Cuffed him right after he threw his shot. So took him out. Crazy things. Could you imagine at any other sport? The U.S. Marshals walking on the field at a baseball game?
Well, I think it's just crazy, because I haven't seen anything about it.
No video yet. No video.
I don't have a ton of bowling on my social media, I would say. I mean, more than I used to, but I haven't heard anything just from what.
Yeah, pretty insane. I don't know. There was, you go look at the standing sheets in game 2, Brandon Novak was there. In game 3, he was no longer there on the sheet. They went from 36 to 35 bowlers. Kind of unexplainably, and they were deleting comments in the chat. And it's kind of weird deal. I guess I don't know how we would handle something like pull my phone out and go viral.
Go the other route.
Yeah. So also reports of sticky approaches. Sources have told us that the lane machine got something on it, got on the approaches. I know on that there was a reel floating around with some of the implosions of bowlers getting mad. Part of that was them sticking on the approaches, so there were certainly some issues there. It sounded like with the lane machine getting something on it, putting it on the approaches. Some bowlers not enthused with it. Heard a little bit of drama qualifying. But be that as it may, in my honest opinion, this may be the best TV show the PBA has ever had. Best top 5 the PBA has ever had. I'm sure I'm going to get some smoke for that one from back before I was old enough to even know what was going on. But from my knowledge, and I do watch a lot of old bowling. Let me tell you what, on YouTube, we watch a lot of old shows, and there's some good ones. But you got Simo, arguably the best bowler right now. Jason, who's been number 1 for a very long time. And then it's EJ. Kyle Troop. Kyle Troop was the one guy. I love Kyle, but you could argue that maybe isn't the best bowler in the world that's on TV right now, but I think he's just good TV, so that it's almost like Pete Weber being on TV, even though maybe he's past his prime. So I'll give Kyle that one. Still a great bowler, obviously, but you could argue that there's some other in the field that maybe. But as far as his presence on TV, A+. And then EJ, who was the reigning Player of the Year. Simo had a Player of the Year season, but it was only top because EJ won a bunch more. Pretty insane. And then Bill O'Neill, who I think had an okay season last year, but just won the last tournament. He was the winner of the most previous recent tournament, the Players' Championship. So honestly, there's been a lot of hype around the bowling world on this show, and in my opinion, okay, the best show PBA has ever had. So I hope ever, and I think, let me know in the comments. Give me your top 5 that you think beats this one.
I will not be including a top 5 because I don't know.
I'm sure there's been, I know there's definitely been, Walter Ray, Pete Weber, Norm Duke shows. There's 3, but you got to add 2 more. And I don't know if there's a top 5 that beats this top 5 or all future Hall of Fame. Sure.
Okay.
What did you think of the top 5 as a non-ish bowler?
So I mean, I've heard a lot about Anthony Simonson. He actually bowled one of the CB Tour events.
Right. CB Tour, Coach K Scholarship Open. That's right.
Yeah. In season 1.
Yep.
Jason Belmonte actually gave me shit about gum.
Oh, yeah. You picked him up from the airport.
Yep.
I remember that. Or took him to the airport.
Yeah, we took him to the airport.
Yep.
And I had like probably 4 or 5 packs of gum
Right.
in the front of my car. And yeah, so he was talking crap about that. But the others I haven't met. I've seen a lot of Kyle Troop though. I think just because he wears some funky stuff and like his hair is crazy. I think people like that. I mean, you like it or you don't like it. But
Hayden said, "Give me Bob Ross."
yeah, Hayden loves it.
So,
but EJ Tackett, I heard a lot about him last year. He bowls really well, and I don't really know Bill O'Neill that much. I didn't realize he's the one that we were watching. But I mean, seems like some pretty good bowlers for sure. So I mean, if it's your top 5 ever, that's a pretty big deal.
I think it is. I think this is the best show they've ever had. Certainly in the last 10 years, I would say their best show they've had. We're pretty heavily invested in bowling at this. What do you think they need to do better so that you know who these players are better, other than obviously the people you've met?
I mean, we've talked about this before in earlier episodes, but I personally, I don't have a subscription to Bowl TV, so I don't watch any of it. I don't follow their social media. So if they do post about them, I don't really see that. It just needs to be accessible. Maybe I haven't set myself up to the access. As far as free social media, like following on Instagram, Facebook, X, anything like that. But yeah, I certainly, as a non-bowler and someone who, I guess kind of but I'm not as invested into it, and so I'm not paying extra to watch these things when they're bowling these big tournaments.
Sure. What do you think? So, what would draw you to follow?
I think it's just you have to have the interest in it, to be honest. And we really focus on CB, and I don't know. I mean, I guess in order to grow my knowledge and things, I should probably be more interested, especially if we're gonna start this back up. Things to talk about?
Yeah. An interesting thing is the pickleball apparently has an issue where they have a large participatory sport where they feel viewership isn't as high as they think it should be in relation to how play. So it was kind of interesting to watch or look at some of those comments. I think that pertains a lot to bowling. One thing is darts. I feel like it's the opposite. Another, I think all 3 of our sports are very large participatory sports. On one hand, have people in golf's pickleball saying more fun to play than watch. But then, wouldn't you say the same thing for darts? clearly not an issue for them. A lot of people watch and follow their social
Yeah,
media.
it's pretty intense. Like, I don't know. From what I've seen, like darts right now and like previous bowling things, like we watched the Hilly. How you say it? Like we watched that, and then we watched the one with Leanne and
Linda Barnes.
and like there was a ton of people there, and like they were in
Yeah, that's true.
freaking like Dallas
The
Cowboys Stadium.
Yep.
So it had like the same vibes, but like the darts is now, like that's what's happening now, and that's not what's happening in bowling right now.
You bring up a good point. There were a lot of people, but the atmosphere didn't seem nearly as big. I'm sure there's more people at the Women's U.S. Open that Leanne won compared to what we see in some of the darts tournaments. How many more? Probably negligible. Still, the atmosphere at the darts seemed significantly more fun, I would say.
But do you think that's because of like bowlers, how bowlers react versus how like darts players may react? You know, like they want the hype up and everything. I feel like, I mean, and I think it's coming with like the younger generation, because you could tell, what's the son, Barnes? Ryan, like when he was bowling on the show, like he wanted like the crowd to get loud and everything.
Sure.
But like I feel like other bowlers, like even like during the tournaments that we have, like obviously when it's a big shot, you don't want to be like hollering and everything, but like you're dead silent, and you're silent most of the time, like while someone's going up to bowl or anything, like you don't really cheer ever. But I feel like darts is opposite.
Yeah, I would. The atmosphere is definitely more dead. Hopefully that changes. Here's the thing: is how do we naturally get people get excited during the show? Because they tried this in the PBA, and it's just it doesn't sound authentic. I think part of the reason is there's too much time between shots. Darts is very fast, so there's no electricity and momentum to build with the crowd. So like you cheer for a second, and then it's 2 minutes between the next shot. The crowd kind of just naturally dies unless forced to do something. I think they had the team show, and it sounds very like you can clearly tell it's fake hype. I don't know. Maybe this is a discussion for another podcast. Things we can do to liven up the atmosphere at bowling shows. But the U.S. Open, biggest show I think the PBA has had ever, probably. Certainly in the last 5 to 10 years, this is their biggest moment, their biggest tournament, the U.S. Open. Jason can extend his record of majors and get a third, I think, or second U.S. Open. Simo, EJ goes back-to-back. And just a lot of storylines. Hopefully they take full advantage of their TV time, and hopefully the ratings are good, I guess, and then solid job. You know, we watched a few shows last year. Lackluster. Hopefully.
I think the people that are bowling, though, from what I've seen, is they show enthusiasm. And, like, I don't know, they show energy, I feel. Like, whether they're frustrated or it was a good shot or whatever, I think, I don't know, I feel like.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so for the sake of bowling.
All right, moving on to CB Tour Season 1.
Season 1.
How do you feel like it went?
Well, we definitely learned some things. One thing that was frustrating is we don't know what we don't know. You know, just things we can't understand, can't foresee, can't develop strategies to deal with until they happen, because we don't even know the possibility or observe how those things even come to be to fix them or add, subtract things or whatever. So that's one takeaway that I think be productive for Season 2. Beyond that, Alex Hoskins wins the first 2, and Wiles wins the second 2. We had some pretty epic battles, and then the season culminated in exactly, I don't know if we could draw, I don't know if a season could end better kind of blew it all in the first one with how season 1 finished off with Kendall versus Darren Tang in the chipper at the National Bowling Stadium. Like, that's really going to be tough to beat. Kendall loses the first game. He wins the second game on a strike, needs to strike to win. And it wasn't like it was another situation where it was strike to win, 9 to lose because of the way that the count fell and what he had going on in the 9th and 10th frames. So had to strike to win. Messenger 9 pinned. It was pretty epic to watch, and then forced to roll off. Aaron almost trips a 2-pin. The Messenger came across, nudged it, didn't hit it enough. Well, it goes up in aces 1. No doubters. And win Alex and watch to see if he would win the points championship or if it would be Kendall. And
Alex was Kendall's ride home, no?
Was Kendall's ride home? Well, I don't know if he... I think
not originally.
Well, the story I'm told is all over the place. Not originally, but then he was gonna be, and then he flew home with his parents. It was a whole ordeal because I think Alex wanted to do some money making in Windover on his way home. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little worried because I don't know how we're gonna top that finish.
Yeah, it'll be tough. It was a good first season for sure. I feel like it had all the drama that you were wanting it to have.
Yep. I think it was entertaining. I mean, watching the chat back when Kendall had to strike, that whole last 5-10 minutes of that stream was pretty intense. People couldn't.
All the Tang fans.
Oh yeah, even with how long Kendall took to throw those, still were just couldn't take their eyes off of what they were watching. Just man, it was pretty intense. It's good stuff. It did exactly what we envisioned, like with the matches and the bracket style, and just, I mean, I was kind of shooting from the hip on the points. I've never created a points championship before, and I have no idea how it's going to shake down. And AI, ChatGPT helped me on most of it. I asked it to make a points system that favors winning, and didn't know how that would work out because I thought if you win a tournament, I mean, that's a pretty big deal. It should be, if you win, certainly you are one of the best bowlers. And it ended, I mean, we had 2 winners, and they were a strike away from one or the other winning. And then we had Kyle Morrison had an outside chance. Mathematically was not locked out going into the last tournament.
When Dallas Leon had not a chance to get first, but
second.
Really close. That we didn't really put into.
No, had he made the Masters, just shown up, he certainly would have had a chance to win. Have four spots for one, and then with the 800 points for second, 1,000 for first. Alex also missed the 50 bonus points for leading the tournament. Darren stole that from him by 4 pins. That had some implications. That was one of the successes. Like, you don't know what you don't know, and certainly if that failed miserably and somebody had like this massive points lead, then I would be like, well, we're going to restructure the points. But going into it now, other than adding some creative ways to get points from like doubles that we're going to do and stuff like that, we'll talk about this in the season 2 podcast that we're going to do. But I think the points are going to stay the same. How do you top that? Like the 2 best bowlers, Alex and Kendall, both winning tournaments, and Kendall wins the points by like 80. So it's working right now, so we're going to send it. But definitely room for improvement always. Have a lot more information, a lot more knowledge now that we didn't have previously. Some upgrades, improvements, some changes, a lot of things in the works. And some people may say they're a little disappointed that it isn't another season until August. But if they knew the list of work that needs to be done, as well as the sponsors, we already have a bunch of sponsors, but we need more to really make it great.
So, you're interested in sponsoring
with Commissioner Kenzi West,
to let us know, because we've got some really awesome ones that we'll talk about in the next episode. But Yeah, any and all sponsors we greatly appreciate.
So for people's information, I kind of handle the competition side and the stream. So I essentially could split the CB Tour in half, and there's 2 quarters, I guess, on my side is the competition side and the stream side. Those equal 50%, and then I would say the operations is the other half, and you kind of handle all the logistics, operations, check-in, handling bowlers, keeping score, all that other stuff. That's kind of your realm. So
the nice part about my side is I have a whole team that works on the things done. The rest of it, your side, it's just you, unless someone helps us do cables or moving cameras or battery or whatever. But yeah, we've got a lot of people help us.
Yes.
Tournament.
Yeah, and they make it possible to do it on a level that we do. Our purpose really isn't to just do what's been done, just to be an extension of what's around us and what bowling is. It was to elevate that experience, and that wouldn't be possible without work that both our families do. Our staff, Chad McLean helping us out.
Had some friends also that help us.
Chad. Ken, Craig, Scott has helped us on a few things, taking scores, just people chipping in on some busy work that is difficult to tackle with a large team. But certainly, like, our social media helped. That was one of the big challenges we faced in the first Masters, was collecting the content. I could barely sit on the stream because of that. That's one focus that we did this year, was the stream. Like, what makes us unique? Stream. So we've heavily focused on that. I took myself out of the operations, basically completely, to focus on the stream, and I think that helped. The streams did very well, but that without Chad, we just wouldn't have any content. So that leveled up our social media, and
yeah, because the other tournaments that we don't run, that we cover, I'm usually the one taking pictures of it. But with our tournament, there's just way to do.
Too much.
That there's no way I could just go take. But we tried it in Vegas because Chad wasn't able to make that one, and we didn't get much content. I'll tell you that.
Unfortunately, we had half the PBA bowling this.
I know.
2 Hall of Famers.
We also had less of our staff there to help.
We did half the staff. Yeah, that was a challenge.
Yeah,
Vegas was a challenge. This year we shouldn't have those issues. Yeah, season 1 was. This is gonna be tough to beat. My hope is we get a few different names in the winner's circle. I think is my hope. Have to beat Alex and Kendall, though. The one thing I did learn about Kendall, he bowled the title match in every tournament he bowled in, is that Kendall is exceptionally good. Probably, I would say, the best anybody that bowled our tournaments at throwing one ball.
Pressure.
Like, love Kendall. Struggles sometimes in longer formats, especially when they get kind of down to the wire. Seen him obviously make some shows, and struggle is relative. Struggle for him, relative how well he does.
Mm-hmm.
But man, when he needs to step up and throw a shot, he may take some time to do it. But there was some very good shots.
That gets it done.
Very good shots too. And that, the Masters, he bowled a roll off almost every match. Won them all.
Yep.
So that's one thing I've learned. It's a different animal, and I know that we've gotten a little pushback, like, I don't love this format. We are changing it up a little bit for season 2, adding a little spice to it for those that maybe are the better bowler, I would say. But it is different, and it makes you bowl differently. It is a totally different mindset than going into match play or the finals knowing you have 12 games or you have to defend for 12 games because you're in the cut right now, top 5 or 12 games to get there and whatnot. It's a totally different. It's one game, really.
Yeah, you're on your toes the whole time.
The whole time. And it's much more, I wouldn't say it's more, it's a different mental run than I split here, that's okay, it's whatever. Yeah. Like, it's not, when you split, you have to make a snap decision, where in longer format tournaments, it's whatever. Maybe I just made a bad shot. This ball is keeping me. When you're at a CB Tour event and split, you are forced into a corner where is this the right ball or did I throw it bad? And you have to make a decision quickly because you don't have 10 more games.
No.
6 more games. You have 5 more shots to figure it out. And it's different. Like, I don't know. It's not necessarily a good or bad thing. I don't think one's better than the other. I think that's definitely got its time and place. I just think a lot of people do them, and that's kind of all that there is. So we're doing something different. I think the future, I want to add another major tour, and I think we might change a little bit to more your format to that what the is. But holistically, it is just a much different mindset that I think puts you more into what traditional, like basketball, baseball, football, very quick decision making, very fast paced, and I don't have a lot of time to just sit here and grind this out.
I get you. I don't fully understand like the mental game yet, and like understanding whether it really was a bad shot or I need to switch balls because 1, I only have one that I use, and True. 2, I don't even look at my mark most of the time, so I wouldn't have any idea. So I'm sure it's definitely taxing on your mental state.
You can appreciate, watch baseball, stuff like that. It would almost like what bowling is if like you, and in a bat you had 10 strikes instead of 3. And you have this cat and mouse game with the pitcher get so much time. So like if you make a bad swing, got 9 strikes. Where now it's like, not only do you only have now 2 more strikes if you make a bad swing, you're now put into a position where the pitcher is heavily favored now situation. And that happens here because when your opponent sees you split, that has to loosen your arms.
Yeah.
Right? Because as the opponent, because now they're lost. And if you strike here, that puts even more pressure. Now, I think you get a little relief because it's not total pins and it just kind of resets. But just got to win one. And at that point, anything could happen. We had Wade was 1 strike away, Wade Christiansen, Coach K Scholarship Open, from winning the first game against Sean Rash.
Yeah.
So, if you feel that maybe you don't have a chance, you're like, I'm bowling against John or I'm Darren. Let me tell you what, those guys are just as, like, they're good. You won't beat them over 12.
Yeah.
You will not beat Alex, Kendall, any of Sean, Darren, Jake, Dallas. You won't beat them over. They're just going to figure it out.
Yeah.
But in a situation where you only have to win 1, it's kind of a lose-lose for them because they just lost to some kid, right? And you have nothing to lose and they have everything to lose.
Yeah.
And you get them, they're not used to thinking on their toes like this. This isn't a typical bowling format where, again, you have to make a snap decision very quickly.
Very.
So I think it brings us a little closer, more traditional sports where your decision-making is quick. We saw a variety of different styles make the cut, win matches. We saw a variety of different styles in the finals. And then other than, Alex and Kendall, basically every finals match was different. We saw Eric Tashida crush him at the Masters and missed it in Vegas.
Yeah, he is a record holder on the CB Tour.
Record with a 5-game scoring record.
First 3.
First 3.
Not the highest in 3 games.
He didn't bowl 3 games.
I know, but
I don't know. I
his
guess
first 3 were higher than anyone else's first 3.
It is. He shot 813, I think. We need to get some opinions. Does it count if it was the first 3 That is facts. It was the first 3. We just didn't bowl 3 games. So he has the 5-game scoring record as it stands. Alex and Luke tie at 770 for the 3-game scoring record. Both of those, they shot those from the classic.
Was a very good time. Had a lot of people there.
Season 1 kickoff. It was good.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Packed house.
Very.
So thanks, shout out to Sam, shout out to Rumby.
More packed than we thought. We ran a little behind that tournament, but
A lot behind.
that was the only one that we ran.
Things, you don't know what you don't know, unfortunately. Just how long does it take to bowl 5 games? Scoring pace heavily dictates how long it takes to bowl 5 games.
Also having so many people on a pair.
Yep. The amount of people that show up, how long it takes to run the lanes, if it breaks down, all kinds. So, what if you grade season 1, Kenzie, 1 out of 10?
1 out of 10. Shoot. Okay. So I feel like first half was crazy, like packed. Both tournaments in Utah were awesome, which totally understand because we are from Utah. So our following is really Utah, Idaho. That's really the only places we've traveled to like stream and everything. So I feel like most of our following is there, besides like people on like East Coast or whatever. Vegas was pretty good. We had some big names come and bowl, so that was a good time. Reno, I feel like we had some big names. Obviously, we had Darren in the title match with Kendall. But like we're not as well known out there. So once we get ourselves associated a little further around, I think those places we'll have quite a few more entries. And I think this next time in Vegas will be a lot better.
Yep. I would say so you didn't give it a score out of 10?
Well, I wasn't finished talking.
Oh, sorry, that sounded like you did your thought.
I was just talking about each one. But overall, I think we've got some good systems in place. I think everyone had a good time. They're able to tell us things that they would like to see differently or what they really liked. I don't know. I'd give it probably 8.5 or 9. It was
Really?
Yeah.
It's higher than I would have thought you would have given it.
What do you think I was gonna give it?
6.
What?
So do you grade on a school? Like F is 50, 5 and below is just ass.
Basically, yeah.
Same. So you give it a B plus.
Yeah, I'd say B plus. I feel like an 8.5 is a B plus.
You make some good points. I think every bowling center had some pros and cons holistically at the event. Stadium, obviously, where we down on entries, like you said, but like the content we got there was immaculate.
Amazing. The lighting in a bowling center is usually awful, if you guys didn't know. But yeah, it's really hard in a bowling alley to get good lighting. But at the National Bowling Stadium, it was just beautiful. All the pictures, videos turned out great.
Stream crushed it. 1,600 people for the title match. More than any of the other tournaments, and all the other tournaments did good. They did good. This one doubled them. Just down on entries, and then there was no breakdowns. You had a little bit of an issue with the lane machine, but then in Vegas the lanes shut off in the middle of a roll off.
Mr. DeLong.
Mr. DeLong. I guess I focus on immediately how to make it.
Well, yeah, still having an 8.5 or 9, you still have room for improvement. You can have a 10 event and still need to improve on things.
Yeah. I don't know. I see all the things in the ground that maybe you don't see, maybe the bowlers don't see, the fans don't see how things run. Like I work on the back end of operations at home, so I know things that need to be improved there. I don't know. like some improvements that I would like. The check-in process, I want to try to make better. The marketing, want to make better. Like I just, if we did, we bust out a 9, how do we make it better? I don't know. I'm just focused on.
Oh, that's what
I think there was more things than I thought we could improve going into first season. I thought we were pretty prepared. I thought Masters was really, really good, and it's going to apply that to 4 more tournaments and going to new venues, traveling more, those things.
Well, going from 1 to 4 is very hard.
Yep.
I don't want to say I don't recommend, but that is tough.
If you like losing
especially
money,
if you're, so like, I mean, we didn't even break even because we owe.
it is what it is. Like I'm not too sad about that, but it is.
No, but it's a lot of time and work, and like we still have our regular jobs that we work 40 plus hours a week.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, come home and do all this, and you do even more than I do. But it's a lot doing that every single day, and then every weekend for months and months we're streaming, or we're traveling to other tournaments, or just getting things ready for our own events. It's just a lot.
It is a lot. It's more than, I don't know. I guess there was a lot of work for the first one, and I was like, it's 4 times.
Did a lot of things different than the very first tournament.
Yeah.
So
season 2 gonna be big. We got some pretty cool things. All right, well, that's the newest episode here, Kens. Any final thoughts for the viewers at home?
We do have a Facebook page for Striking Kicks. We'll kind of use it as like a discussion group also. So if you have things to talk about, or we may put like a topic and kind of get people's insights. So if you guys want to follow that on Facebook.
Yeah. Beyond the scope of just championship, we've kind of defined that brand more as time has gone on. So this is kind of our avenue to talk about things not just championship bowling.
Yeah. So kind of why we started with the U.S. Open first, and then so obviously we'll tie back to CB here and there, but we will talk about other topics that are not just championship bowling.
All righty. Well, we will see you guys in the next episode.